Yeah. The last talk. Okay, now weight loss. Why? Okay, now have you watched the news lately? You know, they talk about epidemic of obesity and all that. It's not. It's not. You got to look at it a little bit different, because this has never been around. That's one of my governators. Okay. Well, when you look at it, we got to look at this. It's not from willpower. It's not from anything. You're going to find out that the reason that we have an obesity epidemic is it's a poisoning. It's a poisoning of our population. And it's something that you're not aware of. So when you look at this, I mean, adults' rates have doubled, child rates have tripled. You're talking over 30 different diseases. Okay, now I was watching this one horrible movie about a gastric bypass, and they said, oh, immediately after we bypassed his intestinal tract, his diabetes went away. And now I got a challenge with that, because when you look at the stomach and how it works, you got a stomach up here, and it's very acidic. As soon as you go past the stomach, there's an area called the duodenum, and that duodenum is where calcium and iron are absorbed. Then you go a little bit further, and it gets a little less acidic, and so you got this multiple feet of intestinal tract where you get certain nutrients and vitamins absorbed. Well, if you bypass that, if you go around it, yeah, you don't get the absorption. You also get massive nutritional deficiencies, and you die early. There's not one study that shows gastric bypass surgery makes you live longer. You will die early. You'll die smaller, but you'll die early. So what we got to do is look at normal. Okay, normal, your human body hasn't changed design for about 40,000 years. Obesity has never been a problem, and it never will be, okay, when we understand what it is, because it all goes in calorie utilization. So our diet used to be raw food. Okay, we'd cook meat. Why? Because when you heat stuff up, it excites the molecules and it tastes better. No, you're supposed to say, wow, I never really thought about that. The cold pizza that I had in the morning really wasn't as good as the hot pizza I had last night. Okay, you know what I mean? So I mean, basically it was mainly raw, and when you ate it. Now, we come on to modern worlds, and they refined it. When you start looking at refining foods, it happened back in World War I. And what they would do, if you would take fresh bread and put it on the shelf, it would spoil after a couple of days. It would start to get moldy, and so we couldn't ship it to the soldiers. And if you put raw rice up there, or anything, it would start to spoil. So what they found out is that if we removed some of the metabolic or digestive enzymes from the food, it would preserve it. Why? Because bacteria wouldn't like it. So it would last longer. So it was a preserving process by refining it. Now the tough part is by refining it, you're also removing a ton of the enzymes, a ton of the grains, or a ton of the appropriate nutrients from it. So what you're getting when you start refining food, you're getting a calorie-dense, nutrition-poor food. And this started back in World War I. And then, if we want fats that last a long time, now, way back when, at the turn of the century, when I was going to school, I was an assistant manager for the airport drive-in theater. I don't know, anybody remember drive-ins?
Yeah.
Okay, I was the guy at 2 o'clock in the morning that would knock on the van with the, sorry, it's over. Okay, but I was also the guy that would make the popcorn. Okay, now I don't know if you know this, but it's a gray gooky paste that doesn't need to be refrigerated, that you put in the popcorn machine, and it melts. It smells good. Okay, it melts, and then you pour the popcorn on top, and it produces this delicious smell, but it's actually poisonous. And it doesn't need to be refrigerated. No rats would eat it. Okay, I mean, they're obviously smarter. But that was trans fats. So now what's tough is the whole thing with deep fried foods, it tastes delicious, but again, it's calorie-rich, nutrition-poor. Now, is your body smart or stupid?
Smart.
It's really smart. So your design for 40,000 years hasn't changed. So what you do is when you get this calorie in here, if you can't utilize it, that means if you can't digest it properly, and if it's a chemical you can't digest it, your body's going to pack it into the most efficient storage unit around. And the most efficient unit that you have is called fat. And it's great. Now you might think, well, I'm going to eat healthy. Now this is part of the poisoning that you're not aware of. Now, we've got a system. Now, most of our food industries, it's supposed to be safe, and it's federally regulated, and the government is really doing a bang-up job for industry. They're not doing a bang-up job for health. So when I'm behind the guy at Smart and Final, and I go to Smart and Final to get oil for my car, you're not going to use canola oil in food, but I burn it in my car, so I'm in there getting these jugs of canola oil, and this guy in front of me, he's got these Healthy Choice frozen meals, okay, so devoid of enzymes, devoid of nutrients. Then he's got a couple of bottles of children flavored Tylenol. Okay, now I know that weakens the immune system and it's toxic to the liver. You wouldn't want to give it to a kid. Then he's got some Diet Coke. Now, I know the diet products have neurotoxins in there that actually damages the brain, and you're going to learn a little bit more about that. And I'm going, this guy probably took drank the Kool-Aid and thinks that all this stuff here is going to help his family. So, so we've got a system that's not telling you the truth. It's not telling you how to live healthy. So let's say you go in there and you got an orange juice from concentrate and one not from concentrate. Which one's supposed to be better for you? Neither one. Okay, why? Because not from concentrate, and this is what's happening. You got to figure Minute Maid's owned by Coca-Cola, Tropicana's owned by Pepsi, so these are soda manufacturers. And when you make regular orange juice, and I mean by making it, you have an orange, you slice it open, you squeeze it, you put it in a jar. What happens after about an hour? It separates. Yeah, you get the heavy pulp down below and you get the water on top. Then you got to shake it up, then you drink it. Well, that doesn't happen in store-bought. See, what happens is they want it to store it, so they remove all the oxygen and nutrients from it, and then they have to reconstitute it. Now this is the legal part. Orange juice that's pasteurized after having first been concentrated is labeled as not from concentrate.
What?
Wait, I'm sorry, did that not make sense to you? Let me read that again. Okay, you can't, orange juice that is pasteurized after having first been concentrated, it's labeled as not from concentrate. Dumber. Okay, so when you look at this, you can't really trust the food labels, okay, because that's foolishness. Okay, and orange juice is one of the most putrid juices out there. The only thing worse than that is V8. But when you look at this, it's a standard American diet. And that's what they call it. It's enzyme devoid. 90% of what you buy in the store has no enzymes in it. Which again, you need enzymes. And we did a whole talk on enzymes where you got to take in these nutrients. You have to use enzymes as a catalyst where it actually breaks down. Because it doesn't matter if you take in that burger from McDonald's, you got to break that burger into protein. You got to break the protein down into amino acids. Then you take the amino acids and build you. You got to take the fats in there, break it down to fatty acids, and then you take those fatty acids and build you. You got to take the sugars, okay, the carbs, break it down to the appropriate sugars and make you. So everything that you take in your body, you have to produce you. Okay, and when you look at your system, you're very, very dynamic. You're a sea of metabolisms. Your skin is only 28 days old. Okay, the reason you start to wrinkle is because you can't break down the proteins. Now, I've got patients in their 90s, not a wrinkle. And so you know what I ask them? What are you eating? Okay, and you know what they tell me? Usually this one guy is 90, well, no, he's 96 now. Not a wrinkle on his face, Italian guy, okay? Olive oil every day, whole wheat pasta every day that he makes. And pasta generally isn't good. Don't use him as an example. But garlic every day. He cooks his food every day. He buys his vegetables fresh every day. Do you use anything from a package? Nope. The only thing in a package is the olive oil. Wow, okay, good, so that makes sense. But what he's doing is, see, he's taking in proteins, he's taking in fats, he's taking in carbohydrates, all of which he can break down and utilize. So that's why his skin's able to replenish. If your food is enzyme deficient or processed, you can't break it down. So if you can't break it down, what do?
Store it.
Exactly. If you can't break it down, you store it. Okay. Now it's starting to make sense. Okay, so, diet sodas double your risk of obesity. Now, why would diet sodas do this? Okay, now if you look at the government system that we have, ever hear of the American Diabetic Association? Good. They're funded by Monsanto. Okay. Monsanto is one of the companies that make some of the diet products. So when you go on their website, they're actually suggesting that you drink diet products. So now what's better, the pink stuff or the blue stuff? Okay. Okay, now here's a tough one. What does your doctor recommend? Okay, if the doctor is recommending the pink stuff or the blue stuff, okay, the Splenda or the which is chlorinated sugar, or the aspartame, which is the blue stuff, both of them are toxic, both of them are poisonous, both of them are going to put weight on. Now they're neurotoxin. They're neurotoxic. That means it's poisonous to the nervous system. And your nervous system is directly connected to your digestive system. Now, first off, why would a nose be over the mouth? Did you know your nose is directly connected to the brain? How many people in here in real estate? Okay, do you know what they do if you want to sell a home?
Bake the cookies.
Bake the cookies. Bake the bread. Do you know why? Because instantly, you smell it. That smell, that olfactory bulb, is connected to the hypothalamus. And this triggers memories of joy, of pleasure, of fun, okay? And then you want to buy the house. Well, we're going to utilize that. And I'm also going to tell you that this has been utilized on you, using that brain function to make you crave poisonous, toxic food. Okay, it's also used for the solution. So when we talk about reprogramming your brain, we're going to use that olfactory bulb that stimulates the brain to change your brain's function to start utilizing nutrients. Would that be of value to you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you right now. But I mean, the reason diet sodas double obesity, and they were shocked, because there's no calories in it. Like Coke Zero, how many calories in that? Zero. Do you know what a calorie is? It's a unit of energy. It is. It's a unit of energy designed to raise a liter of water 1 degree centigrade. So all it is a unit of energy. And how they measure calories is they take a given quantity of whatever the heck it is they're measuring, you know, whether it's beef or spinach or Diet Coke, okay? And you burn it and you see how much heat comes off. You put a known amount of heat in, you measure the heat coming off, and so it doesn't burn really well. Honest to goodness. I know. So when you start looking at this, you're going, wait a second. 0 calories, that just means it doesn't burn well. You know, it doesn't say what we do with it, but what it does, it causes brain damage. Okay, because what it does, it actually goes in there, you're getting the sweet taste, which also stimulates the brain. Your brain is expecting a rush of energy. You don't get that rush of energy, so you're going to feel depressed. So what they do is they up the caffeine level. So this way you get caffeinated and you get a rush. This is why Diet Coke is one of the highest caffeinated beverages out there. Of course, the caffeine stimulates appetite. Stimulating the appetite causes you to crave more stuff. And if you're already on the Diet Coke train, you're going to be at the McDonald's and you're going to get the double cheeseburger with the Diet Coke because I'm thinking about my health. Okay, so when you look at this, this is the chemical. Now this was featured on 60 Minutes a few weeks ago. These are the flavor meisters. Now what they're doing is they're creating different chemicals that you can put in food to stimulate the excitoneurons, and this is the pleasure neurons. Like picture rubbing a warm puppy. Picture that beautiful smell of vanilla, okay? You know, I mean, this is an emotional response. So food is an emotional response, okay? It is. And again, you know, just like the orange juice from concentrate, that's not from concentrate, but it's really from concentrate. Okay, when they say natural vanilla flavors, it's typically out of a beaver gland. Okay, so they can't put vegetarian, but no, think about this. It is natural, it's from a beaver. Okay, and beaver's glands are used for scent, so that means that the materials inside of the gland itself are going to expand or explode out, so you need a very little bit of the material to excite your brain. You need to excite the olfactory bulb, which stimulates the brain. So we're chemists now. We're not thinking about health or anything. Let's just think about a cool product we can sell. So you need a very little of this product to stimulate the food. And what you want to do, if we're making food for sale or for profit, and I love this, you need to come up with a couple of things. You need a long shelf life, so you don't want it to be attractive to bacteria, so you got to have it devoid of nutrients. So long shelf life. It has to have an initial power taste. And these are what the scientists are saying. You want to take that sip and go, wow, That's delicious. And then you want, when you're done with it, you want more. Okay? Okay, you definitely want more. And this is what they want to do. And they want to make it cheaper and faster, longer shelf life. Now the main flavors they're working with are fat, salt, and sugar. Fat, salt, and sugar. So this, and now you can also look at some of the different flavors they're using. They're using high fructose corn syrup. Now this is the #1 source of calories in America. The #1 source, high fructose corn syrup. Now if you've seen the crazy ads, it's made from corn. Must be good. It's not. My gosh, if you look at some of the plastic packagings, they'll say this plastic bottle was made 90% from corn. Okay, so it depends on the processing. See, when you're taking in normal food, your body takes that, breaks it down into protein, fats, and carbohydrates, and you know what to do with it. If you're taking in high fructose corn syrup, you don't know what to do with it. So you store it, you can't break it down, so you store it as what? Fat, yeah, because that's your body. It's the most efficient, calorie-compact structure known. And now since high fructose corn syrup is being utilized, we're seeing the risk of diabetes just skyrocketing. Right now, half of our population has diabetes. It depends on the ethnicity. Between a third and half have it. And that's the official statistics. It's actually, they say about 70 to 80% of our population is pre-diabetic. So that means that you can maintain the lifestyle, we can give you some drug to keep your level down, and you'll die slower. Now this is all the neurotoxins. Now monosodium glutamate was invented because, and this is right here on this sheet, so you don't need to read. Yes, you in the back, read the bottom line. No, it's not an eye test. So this, I actually put it down for you. But these are the different ways that you can say monosodium glutamate. Now, if you go over here to some of the stores that I get my coconuts at, they generally have a ton of Asian products. They actually have monosodium glutamate in a bag that you can buy MSG. It's a neurotoxin. That means it's poisonous to the nervous system. And it's an excitotoxin. So the same pleasure that you would get from skydiving or bike riding or petting your puppy or hugging your girlfriend, any one of these pleasures, you get the same amount of pleasure from putting this excitotoxin inside of your system. So you can take the sickest type of chicken, okay, that's been raised in a cage, grind it up, form it in unrecognizable patties, roll it in genetically modified grain, freeze it for months at a time, take it out, deep fry it in, again, genetically modified canola oil, so you have all these foreign proteins, put it in a little tiny carton, and serve it with this sauce mixed with MSG, and you say, my gosh, this is the best chicken McNugget I've ever had. Okay, but what does your body do with this? It's all genetically modified, so your body can't break it down into protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Your brain gets the excitotoxin, so your brain thinks, oh my gosh, this is the best food in the world. And so it stimulates the olfactory bulb. This goes back into the hypothalamus, stimulating the brain, and you think this is delicious. So what it does, it creates a consistent neural pattern. Consistent neural pattern. This is why that if you keep creating the same neural pattern, you're going to keep creating the same outcome. This is why people practice basketball. This is why people throw baseballs. Why? Because they're creating consistent neural patterns. So they do the same action time and time again. In karate, has anyone in here ever taken martial arts? Yeah, it's fun, right? Do you know what the masters say? I'm not afraid of the 10,000 punches you know. I'm afraid of the one punch that you practiced 10,000 times. Okay, why? Because you've made consistent neural patterns in there and you're incredible. Well, what this does, this is that in reverse. If you've consistently created neural patterns inside of your brain, you're making these neuronal connections to where you have these constant cravings. Now, I don't care if you've been married multiple times, okay? If you've had multiple relationships, my #1 relationship has been with food. I mean, you come home after a long, hard day, is there anything better than a nice, warm, cheesy, meaty, sweet, delicious, rich, whatever the heck it is? and it's waiting for you. Okay, it's kind of like a puppy wagging its tail. I mean, I just could hardly wait to get home to that. But so what that is, that's a consistent neural pattern inside of my brain that I'm associating that with pleasure. So in order to reprogram your brain, you got to understand that there's brain damage. Okay, does that make sense? Because we're going to walk through, because this is part of the brain damage. Now, the Food and Drug Administration, and I actually spelled it correctly. I typically spell it wrong by calling it Fraud and Deception Association, but this is what's on the side of the building. They actually said that MSG is linked to Alzheimer's and neuron death. Linked to Alzheimer's and neuron death. Now, we have an epidemic of Alzheimer's. We also have an epidemic of poisonous foods. There is a correlation. They found it. So everything you do affects the brain. This means smelling food. This means creating consistent neuronal connections. This means absolutely how your body works. Okay, does this make sense? This is also why diet programs don't work. Because what do you have to, do you have to give up something in order to lose weight? Do you have to give up something to lose weight? Do you? Okay, well, I'm just thinking, because if I have to give up something, that's going to give me a sense of loss. Okay, I'm not liking that. My brain's not going to like that, because I like joy, I like pleasure, I like love, I like comfort. Okay, but if I'm going to give up something, I don't like that. Okay, so, and this is why you're going to lose weight, and then you gain it back, then you lose weight, you gain it back, and let me tell you, gain it back, that's pleasure, that's joy, that's love, that's neurotoxins, okay? Okay, then you lose it, it's loss, yeah, you look good, you get compliments, so you get the seesaw effect, and this is, so that's enough. Okay, when we lose it, we're going to lose it permanently, okay? Why? Because we're going to change our brain. Okay, so changing the hypothalamus is everything. So what I want you to look at is, this is an abnormal circumstance. The way the human body is, you have certain areas of fat storage. Now, Dr. Simmons, now he did research, and I'm going to go into his work later. But what I want you to do is, here's two different human beings. There's 3 different types of fat that he viewed. It's not in any anatomy book, but he practiced for over 30 years, and he ran one of the most successful obesity clinics in Europe, okay, for 30 years. And he viewed it as 3 different types of fat: structural, interstitial, and abnormal. Now, structural fats is on the palm of the hands and soles of the feet. You need this for cushioning and padding. Interstitial fat, this is what you need for quick energy. And you're always using energy. Now, let's say you have breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you don't eat again until, say, noon or 1 o'clock. So that's going to be like 5-6 hours of no intake in calories. So in order to maintain your energy level, you have to go after your fat stores, and this is normal. So that's not an abnormal circumstance. Okay, I'm not talking about fasting for weeks or months. Okay, I'm talking about just not eating on a consistent basis. You have to attack the fat stores that are in and around the interstitial, and this is how human bodies work. Now, the last thing you're going to do is break down the structural fat. And in fact, once the interstitial fat's burned up, then you're going to start to break down muscle tissue. This is why if you look at prisoners in Auschwitz or the camps or anything that had no food, their joints are sticking out because the joints aren't getting larger, they're actually eating up all the muscle, so the joints are becoming more apparent. Now, the problem with diets is remember, it all has to do with the brain. Okay, so the brain, when you get calorie deficient, it goes after the interstitial fats. So typical in diets, you're never going to go after the abnormal fat. And this is something that human bodies have never had before. This is fat on the belly, seat, and thighs. When you look at the standard Aboriginal population, they never had big bellies, they never had big seats, and they never had big thighs. And this all has to do with the abnormal or toxic fat storage. Because if your body takes in nutrients and can't break it down, what does it do? Stores it. Okay, and it stores it because it doesn't know what to do with this extra calories. For 40,000 years, you've never seen this. And some of this stuff, when you're talking trans fats, you're talking completely abnormal calories. You don't know what to do with it. So you put it in an abnormal place, and your body can't access it. This is why typically, if this person on the left diets, their face gets small, their breast gets small, their belly stays the same. Okay? Always. Why? Because what are they doing? They're getting low calories. They haven't changed the brain. The brain doesn't know how to attack the abnormal fat stores. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, good. So when we look at this, and then, I mean, this is just crazy stuff. I saw this one hot dog diet. Okay, you know, you only eat hot dogs for 10 days. Okay, right, okay. Yeah, this was a study out of UC Irvine. If you've had 3 hot dogs a week, your risk of cancer goes up 10 to 12 times. Okay, why would somebody eat something poisonous? What's inside of the standard hot dog? The hot dog that we feed our kids. What is it? Neurotoxins. Yes, this is poisonous to the brain. Poisonous to the brain. The brain's responsible for immune system function. This is one of the reasons that half our population has cancer. And again, what do you think is in that hot dog to make it taste so good? What do you think's inside the mayonnaise? What do you think's inside of the bread? Well, inside of the bread, high fructose corn syrup and MSG. So you know, next time you see a bald kid like that, cancer is not a hair disease. Okay, that's from the poisonous therapy that we're giving to try and solve the cancer that we caused in the first place. Then, okay, and this is another thing causing a massive weight gain. See, my view, obesity isn't an epidemic, it's a poisoning of our population. It's not from excess calories because you're not taking in that many. It's just calories you can't utilize. Genetically modified foods. We did an entire talk on this. Why? Because we're making corn a pesticide. We're actually turning a lot of the plants that we're eating, and this is over 90% of the corn products. So when you go to the local Mexican restaurant and you get that big bag of steamy chips, you can't eat it. You can't. Because it's genetically modified, deep fried in genetically modified oil. It has a neurotoxin in there. In fact, it's so toxic, it kills the bugs that are trying to eat the corn plant. Okay, now you might say, well, what are the human studies? There aren't any. We know when we test it on animals that it causes organ damage, gastrointestinal damage. Oh, wait a second. Think of this, gastrointestinal damage. That's how you process nutrients. So if it damages how you break down nutrients and you can't break it down, if you can't break it down, what do? Store it. I just saw like 3 light bulbs go on. Okay, this is really cool. Okay, good. So we're getting there. So you start to see this, you know, yeah, I only had 3 chips with dinner. It doesn't matter. You can't break down. You're going to store it. And then you look at this, infertility. I mean, and this is only animal studies because there's no human studies. So then we get this. We get this population. Now who wants to call CPS? Okay. You know, it's ridiculous. Okay, we don't do this anymore. And then we got our government really voting for us. Okay, this happened about 3-4 weeks ago. Okay, and you know, the USDA said, hey, look, 14% of American kids are in special needs school. Okay, we got 25% on asthma, we got 30% on diabetes, we got about half of them taking attention deficit drugs or, you know, psychological drugs. They're showing massive evidence of brain damage. Okay, and forget the autism epidemic. Okay, wait, is autism a normal sign of childhood, just like Alzheimer's is normal of aging? No? Okay, good. So we're losing a generation. So even the USDA says, hey, maybe we should give an extra serving of fruit and vegetables. Okay, good idea. Well, the Congress found a way to get around it. They named pizza as a vegetable. Why? Because the textured vegetable protein that they call the tomato sauce, they're going to list that as now a new vegetable. And I love this. The textured modified vegetable protein that they call the tomato sauce, it actually has mechanical characteristics, geometrical characteristics. There's the feeling of size, shape, and arrangement of the food particles relating to moisture, fat, and oil in the mouth. Now, did I say anything about nutrition? Did I say how your body... No. These are those chemists saying this is going to feel like fat. It's going to feel sweet. It's going to feel good in the mouth. And it has an incredible shelf life. But your body, if it can't break it down, what does it do? Stores it. Now, I'm not even talking about the high fructose corn syrup in the bread. I'm not talking about the genetically modified or the antibiotic-filled cheese. This is what we're feeding kids. Okay, now, yep, that's James Brown. I feel good. Okay, this is serotonin. Okay, serotonin is produced in the gut. Now, there is a relation of serotonin produced in the gut and a happy feeling, and there's a relationship of serotonin not being in the system causing depression or anxiety. The drugs that they give, like Prozac, Depakote, Wellbutrin, Elavil, all of those drugs, they're called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. They're not, okay? The mechanism of action is actually unknown. But understand that serotonin is vital to appropriate brain function, okay? And in fact, if serotonin levels aren't up, you're talking ability to learn is down. Wait, that might have to do with 14% of our kids in special needs. Ability to learn, arousal, aggression, okay, is back, so we get more violence. Sleep, social behaviors, heart problems, muscle problems, endocrine system. Now this is all if serotonin's not there. Now 90% of your body's serotonin is produced in the gut. They're actually calling the stomach or the gut area the enteric brain. So this, how you digest and process nutrients, it actually produces certain hormones as well. So if you have appropriate gut function, you have appropriate brain function. Does that make sense? If you have abnormal gut function, you have abnormal brain function. Okay? Now I know I want to lay up a pattern so that you can see this pattern so that you can get it, so that you can own it. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so you got this. If you have poor food in the gut, you have poor hormone production, you have poor brain function. And then if you want to kick it up a notch, you put poisonous neurotoxins in the gut, and then you're going to have absolute abnormal function in the brain. Okay, does that make sense? So now if you have depression and you go up to any ignorant healthcare professional that we have, we got a plethora of ignorant professionals. You know, I think Michael Jackson's doctor is out of business, but along those lines, okay, what they're going to do, doc, I'm really depressed. Are they going to ask, what's your digestion like? What's your nutrition like? What's your elimination like? What's your sleep levels like? Are they going to ask about normal health functions, or are they going to say, try this, Okay, yeah, so let's look at this. Now, also, medications. Now, these striations, okay, this is from excess cortisol. Now on this other sheet, and this I gotta start off because we're talking about reprogramming your brain, reprogramming your metabolism so that you can achieve optimal health, okay, and optimal weight. Here's a list of medications, okay, that may be inappropriate for seniors. Well, understand, all medications slow or stop a metabolic process. All medications slow or stop a metabolic process. Your body is a sea of metabolic processes. If you slow your metabolic processes down, does that help your body or slow the function down? Okay. Slows the function down. Okay, now, for every 1 pound of fat, you have a mile of blood vessels. You have a mile of blood vessels. Now, about 6-7 months ago, I was 65 pounds heavier. So that means I had 65 more miles. My heart had a pump. Now, what was a trip is I had normal blood pressure. So I must have a really good functioning heart. Okay, but still, even in my brain, my food-loving, saturated, brain-damaged brain, I still lied to myself multiple times. My blood pressure and cholesterol are fine. Okay, I can still be like this. I'm fine. But when you start thinking, it wears your body out. Okay, so it does. So for every 1 pound of fat, you have a mile of extra blood vessels. This means your body's working too hard. Now, what happens is in most people, because most people that are 65 pounds overweight don't work 12 to 14 hours a day. They have a sedentary lifestyle. So that's the only thing that was saving me. So now, let's say that you have 20 pounds of extra fat, your blood pressure has to be a little bit higher. Okay, now does the doctor say, well, if you lost weight, it would probably go down lower, but in the meantime, take this diuretic beta blocker, ACE inhibitor? Do they usually say you should lose weight sometime, but here, take this drug right away? Okay, it's always drug first. Well, your body requires, it's self-regulating, your body requires blood pressure of this height for whatever reason. You chemically lower it. Now the body needs it up there, right? So what's going to happen is the body dumps cortisol into the system. Now, the primary role of cortisol, it's a stress hormone. It's to downregulate insulin receptors. This means blood sugar goes up. The reason is your liver's got to dump energy back into the blood because for some stupid reason, your blood pressure is too low. Okay, so it dumps it back up there. Now, this is called Cushing's syndrome. It's excess cortisol. Where's the fat distribution on this? Belly, seat, and thighs. Why? Because your body has stress hormones, which causes abnormal distribution or blood supply to the gut. This means you can't break down nutrients. If you can't break down nutrients, what do? Store it. Good. Okay, good. So no weight loss program will be effective unless you solve the problem and start reducing some of the medications. Okay, does that make sense? Yes or yes? Yes. Good. So now this. What's interesting, this is where the blind squirrel gets the nut. The Journal of the American Medical Association, they said that if you have higher blood pressure, you actually had lower death rates. And this is on people that actually had heart damage. Wow, so does that mean that one number is not right for everyone? Maybe they're wrong. Yeah, the world's round, it's not flat. You know, let's change this. This is interesting, another one, and this is early death from heart disease, cancer, or diabetes. If you take a blood pressure drug, this means slowing the, and this is just basic stuff because we're talking flat earth. If you have a pump that's working hard to keep oxygen and bring nutrients and regulate pH in the entire body, and you slow that pump down, does your health improve or decline? Well, it decline. According to all of these journals, they say you're going to die of heart disease, cancer, or diabetes. What's rampant in our society? 5 out of 6 die of heart disease or cancer. 5 out of 6. None of these are hereditary. And diabetes, we're talking 50% of the population. Here's a gal. Now, Sherry, 58 years old. No curve in the neck. Pain. What do you get for pain? Pain reliever. What does she have? If you're under pain, you got decreased blood supply to the gut. It works all the time. Ate fast food. So she has neurotoxins, multiple medications, fibromyalgia, which you're talking 11 different prescriptions. So we're talking muscle relaxants, pain relievers, antidepressants, antacids, 11 different meds. Does that help your metabolism or slow it down? Slow it down. So she comes to me for weight problems. And I go, hun, let's talk. Okay. She's diagnosed with an incurable disease and high blood pressure. Fibromyalgia is incurable in the medical world, okay? So we talk a bit, we get her cleaned up, we get her x-rayed, you know, her pain goes away within just about 30 days. Within 90 days, she's completely drug-free. And I didn't even do anything with her weight. I just told her what she's supposed to eat. We got her off her medications and she became normal and still normal. No, you're supposed to say, wow. Yeah, it's approaching the human being with respect and awe. It really is. Understand that this is pathology. It's abnormal. This is pathology. This is not normal. It's not weak willpower. It's not anything other than abnormal. So when you look at this, it has nothing to do with character. It has nothing to do with anything other than brain damage. It's neurotoxins. Your body can't break it down, so it's storing it. Now this was interesting. This is called Froelich's condition. Now this is a disease that was happening back at the turn of the century in India. Now in India, at the turn of the century, I'm not talking this century, last century, there wasn't an obesity population. There was a problem with getting enough food. And so you saw these people with massive seat, thighs, and bellies, and it turned out that they were missing a hormone. And what they used, they found a hormone inside of pregnant women urine called HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. And what they did is they would use pregnant women urine enemas, and they recovered. But they recovered permanently. I know you might say, well, using urine is bad, but have you ever heard of Premarin? They take horses, they put hormones in them, keep them pregnant all the time, take the urine, synthesize it, and then give it to you. Of course, horse urine actually causes increase of cancer and a bunch of other things. Okay, so now this, what they did is with HCG, and this has been really popular for a long time, it's not a hormone that directly affects organs, it's a hormone that affects other organs. And what's neat about this is it affects the hypothalamus. So now this is being outlawed, okay, by the government. It's almost impossible to get now. We've utilized it in our practice very effectively, where what it does is it stimulates the hypothalamus. It gets your brain to attack the abnormal fat. So instead of during a diet process, you're not going after the interstitial fat, you're going after the abnormal fat. And once your brain has that neural pathway, just like a punch from a karate that you developed that neural pathway, if you develop that correct neural pathway, then it's a one-time, one-shot deal and your body's changed. Okay, does that make sense? And what's neat is you only do it for about 3 weeks. And what's neat about the 3-week protocol of this, okay, is that 3 weeks, it takes about 21 days to change your brain permanently, and then it's 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. And I'll explain that in a second. But this worked really well. Now there's 2 ways to get this. One way is to inject it into your blood, okay, which is shots. And this is why, this is the shot they're trying to keep legal. Okay. However, every time you inject a protein in your bloodstream, it sensitizes your immune system and increases risk of all sorts of diseases. What we were using is a homeopathic drop. This is a drop that's synthesized down, and it's a sublingual drop where it just stimulates a little bit. All you need to do is just a little bit to get that hypothalamus working correctly. And now what's interesting, I'm going to show you that you don't need to utilize the HCG. Okay, you can utilize anything, but you have to stimulate the same area of the brain. So the government can take away the HCG, we're going to get something else, okay, until they outlaw what I'm going to show you in a second. But this is the frustrating thing, okay, and I know you probably felt like this. Gosh knows I have, okay. I mean, I'm 50, almost 52, and I would stand on a scale, and I'd go, man, I've been starving for 3 days, and I've lost a pound. That sure as heck wasn't worth it. Where's my fries? Okay, you know, and then you think it's broken. Well, what this does, it's very, very simple. But what you got to do is you have to change your brain. So it's a very, very low calorie diet. It's only 500 calories a day. And this works with anything as long as you're changing your brain. Okay, if you don't work into the brain, the neurology of it, you're not going to change your system permanently. You typically burn between 2,000 to 4,000 calories a day. And that's the average. It depends on whether you're an active lifestyle or sedentary. About a pound of calories is a pound is about 3,500 calories. If you're taking in 500 calories, you're going to burn about a pound a day. Okay? In 3 weeks, Gesundheit, I lost 28 pounds in 3 weeks. Okay, that's normal. Okay, but I, you know, some of my office staff used it. I think they lost like 14 pounds because they're not as active as I am. You know, but it's going in the right place. And we've had people, you know, 75, 80 years old, this one couple, she's lost 55 pounds, he's lost 60 pounds. One of my patients came tonight. Now, this is no bypass surgery. And I said, please, if you could come by tonight, it would mean so much to me because people don't know. People, you know, I'm up there talking, but to see like a real person, single mom, mother of 3, okay? I've known her for years. She is like one of the sweetest people. Her name's Tammy. She's lost 130 pounds. Tammy, can you stand up and say? Yeah, since June. That's no bypass surgery. That's nothing. I mean, it just, oh gosh. I mean, you know, if there was like a wall of it, you rock. Okay. Was it very, very difficult or not too bad?
No, it was very easy.
Yeah.
21 days, anybody can do anything.
Yeah, and that's all it is.
3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, and you just stick with it and do it. And I lost about 3/4 of a pound every day.
Yeah, and that's
every day.
But she's super disciplined. Okay, and the whole thing is the reason it's 3 weeks on. Why? Because it takes 21 days to change your brain, and then 3 weeks off, and we'll explain what the 3 weeks off is. It's just stabilizing. And then if you need to do another round, you can do 3 weeks on and 3 weeks off as long as you want. But it just, what you're doing, you're changing your brain, and you're changing how your body views calories. Okay?
And you're doing the homeopathic drug?
Well, you can't get them anymore. Okay, the government's taking care of that. But just know right now, 500 calories, okay, a day for 3 weeks. And we're going to explain because there's some things that you can eat, some things that you can't eat. Like one of them is, and what's typical on this is for one meal, you're going to have 1 cup of vegetable. Wait, did I say vegetables or vegetable? One vegetable. Okay. The reason is it has to be because you're changing. As soon as you smell it, before that goes in your mouth, you're changing your brain. You're changing what your brain views as food. Now you can spice it up with as much dry stuff as you can, but there has to be no fat in it. So it can be cooked in water, it can be steamed, whatever. And then you take 3.5 ounces of some type of animal product. Now if you're vegetarian, it can be cottage cheese. Okay, it could be some type of dairy. Okay, that's okay. If you're not, it has to be some kind of organic meat. Because remember, in any commercial meats, what do they have? Neurotoxins. Okay, neurotoxins and antibiotics. 70% of all animal feed, or 70% of all our antibiotics are used in animal feed. And the reason is the antibiotics used in animal feed puts weight on fast. And so when you eat that burger from fast food, does it have antibiotics in it? Yeah. So if it puts weight on the cows, guess what it does to human beings? Puts weight on the human beings. Okay, so the 3.5 ounces of animal has to be organic. Has to be grass-fed, organic, healthy. Okay, does that make sense? You can dry spice it with as much stuff as you want, and 1 piece of fruit. Not 1 bowl of fruit, not a fruit salad, 1 piece of fruit. Okay, and you do this for lunch and dinner. Okay, for breakfast you can have tea, water, coffee. You have to drink a tremendous amount of water. Now the first 3 days it's tough because you have an emotional attachment. Okay, now what we would do with the HCG is you would have a few drops in the morning, a few drops in the evening, or at lunch, and a few drops in the evening. However, we can't do that anymore. Now, hold on, I'm getting there. Okay, if I don't answer it after this, okay. Now, what you have to do is your body uses protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Protein, fats, and carbohydrates. This is to produce everything. To produce hair, skin, kidney cells, stomach cells, everything. You need each one of those. So if you don't take in protein, your body's going to destroy its muscles. If you don't take in carbohydrates, you're going to start breaking down everything that you can in your body to produce carbohydrates. If you don't take in fats, it's going to access what? Fat. Excellent. Fat. The abnormal fat. That's what we want it to do. So we have to change the brain to make it aware to go after those fat stores that are abnormal. That's the kicker. That's the kicker. That's the key to changing that brain damaged fat distribution. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, good. So what you have to do the first couple of days, you have to fat load. That means you have to have as much fat in your system, and this is healthy fats, okay? I mean, avocados, coconuts, nuts. My crew actually got me apple fritters, which I don't recommend, but oh my gosh, for a sinful pleasure, okay, it was pretty good. The problem is the first day of fat loading, where you're eating as much fat as you possibly can, I'm talking raw cheeses, everything. After day 1, I was pretty much done, okay? You got to do it for 2 days. So your blood is super rich with fat. And then you cut it off completely, because those meals of 1 cup of vegetable, 3.5 ounces of animal twice a day, there's no fat in there. So your body is instantly going to go at it. And now normally we would use the HCG to get at it, but I found another product that's available. You also have to understand that all the food that you're taking in, you have to have enzymes. So enzymes supplementing, because remember, all processed food, it's devoid of enzymes. So when you get done with this diet, you have to start supplementing with enzymes. Juicing, you can't do it during the diet, but again, this is part of the protocol of where you're going to rebuild your system. So is juicing essential for rebuilding your body? Absolutely, because once you go through this diet, the 3 weeks on, can't do juicing, you can't do supplements. The 3 weeks off, you can do juicing. Okay? Also, and this is why you cannot do these diets if you've had toxic exposure of medications. And you may be so incredibly toxic from having the brain damage from the fast food that you may need to detox your system. Chlorella, spirulina, I mean, these things are vital for binding to heavy metals. You may need some, I mean, I'm going to show another cleanse up here, but if you start going on 500 calories and you're accessing fats that are full of poison, you're going to get sick. Okay, so this is another cleanse that we'll use. See, these very low-calorie diets, you can't just jump into it. If you've had extremely toxic lifestyles, if you've had multiple medications, it can actually cause damage to your system. This is one of the cleanses that we also recommend to patients, depending on the severity of what damage they have. Okay, and it's VEirons.com. And this is one of the cleanses that I've done myself, and it works really well. But it's barium titanate clay 5 times a day, 5 bags of supplements a day, and absolutely no food. Does that sound like fun or torture?
Torture.
Torture, I'm telling you. The end of the 8th day, man, I was done. Okay, but on this thing, it binds to heavy metals. If you're not doing colonics, you have to do multiple colonics throughout the week with this. You're dumping a tremendous amount of poisons in your system. So all of these are dangerous. This is one of the products that we've seen that actually works very similar to HCG to stimulate the brain. Okay, it's West African mango. Now, what's neat is a great 10-week study. They ran it for 10 weeks. The average weight loss was 28 pounds, and they did it a placebo, and the average weight loss there was 3 pounds. So it stimulates the brain. It actually stimulates, you know, the advertisements are glucose levels and cholesterol. None of that stuff really matters. Healthy blood glucose levels means that your body is able to break down the fats that you have to utilize it. Healthy cholesterol levels means your body's able to break it down. Okay, does that make sense?
Where do you get that?
I'm going to show you. Hold on, I know. Did I answer your question almost?
No.
Okay.
My question was, can you get HCG from other countries like Mexico or Canada?
Maybe, but I don't know the sources. And that's the source that we had was specific. We knew exactly where it was coming from.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't recommend anything from China, India, or Mexico because you don't know what the product is.
So who stopped you from using it? FDA?
The federal government. Okay, but no. It's legal if you're a medical doctor and you want to inject it. Okay, but we found other products that work just as good, if not better. Okay, so I know, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah, I just brought it up to what we used to use, but this thing here actually works better. Because now when you look at this, these are natural herbs that can also detox the body and stimulate. Pomegranates, ginger. This is sea vegetables. Then we're talking certain types of fruit. This one's gargantia. It's called gooseberry or something. No, not goji. It's Garcinia cambogia. Now, this is a common fruit in India. It also does stimulate metabolism. But all of these, we're talking, what is it? Apple cider vinegar, cayenne pepper. These are all stimulating herbs to increase metabolism, and it changes brain function. So now, instead of doing the HCG, what these herbs do, they naturally stimulate how the brain views the body, and they slowly increase the metabolism to similar. Now, what they've done, and they got this at Mercola, it's called Biothin. They put all 7 of those herbs in a package. Now, in that package, you have to utilize it. Now, they're not recommending utilizing it with the HCG diet. At our office, we have this book that actually details out what you can eat on the 500-calorie diet, what you can't eat. Okay, like you can't eat a cup of spinach, you can't eat a cup of broccoli. Do you want to know why?
No.
You want to know why? Yeah, so do I. I read Simoncini's work, and he said he didn't know why. But in 30 years of research, he found that this vegetable worked, this one didn't. Okay.
Which one worked?
I'm not going to tell you. It's in the book. There's like a dozen vegetables you can have. Okay. But what's interesting is in his research, and this book also contains his actual original book, it talks about what to do and what not to do, what to do and what not to do. In the 3 weeks on, because it's 3 weeks of taking the supplements, of restricting the calories, and then 3 weeks off, but it's not off completely. The 3 weeks off, you can take in fat, you can't take in sugars, and you can't take in breads. Okay? So it's actually a 6-week protocol, and then you can actually go back to, in the book, it'll say what you can eat for the rest of your life or what you can never eat. Okay, McDonald's is in the never eat pile. Okay, I'll make it really clear. Fast food, never eat. You know, you don't go to McDonald's and say, yeah, I want the salad shaker. The salad shaker actually has more MSG and calories than a regular burger. Now, at our office, you've got to, what we do is you've got to have an exam, because if you're taking medications, it's not going to work. The book, B12 drops, which is just about essential, because if you're doing 500 calories, you may get low energy. If you're working 10 to 14 hours a day, like I do, you can't handle low energy, so the B12 stimulates metabolism and also gets you more energy. The BioThing capsules, a detox protocol, and that's vital. You can't really do a weight loss and change your brain unless you've gone through a thorough history at what got you in this state. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, and then a plan so that we can go in there and we tell you what specifically you can do to make a permanent weight loss. Does that make sense? Okay, good. I mean, normally, it's $525, but at our office, you save about 44%. It's $295, and couples, they get a further discount. All of this stuff. I mean, my sister's in the back. She can give you a coupon. You can call her office, okay, and come down there, and we'll do a personal program for you, okay, to get checked in our office. And this is Mary. Whoops. I got to tell you about Mary, because she had daily migraines for over 20 years. Now, daily migraines, if you got pain, do you have good gut function? No. So she had pain relievers, headaches, couldn't sleep, everything else, weight gain, same thing. 20 years of headaches. Within the first 2 weeks, the headaches are gone. 90 days later, she has a curved back, reversal of arthritis. And it's just case after case after case is this. Your body isn't designed to be sick, fat, and nearly dead. Has anyone seen that movie? Sick, fat, nearly dead. I know. You got to see it. There's a trucker on there that lost 200 pounds. Okay? What did he do? He just did vegetable juicing. And it's all the same thing. To come into our office, normally it is $275. For January, and this is only one more week, it's $12. And what we do is we do an x-ray, exam, physical, drug search, everything. And that's also part of the diet protocol. Okay? Now, next week we're going to talk about exercises, how you can work out in about 20 minutes, 3 days a week, and get as much calorie burning and save your joints at any age, at any health weight. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, good. That's next week, and that's the first talk at the new location. Okay, and there'll be maps and stuff that you can get there. Good.